nice plaid, yeah. It's kind of stylish. Thanks. Hipster. I like that. Do you hear that?
Yeah, I don't
It's a hipster
necessarily.
shirt.
Well, first, everybody, thanks for coming. I know there's going to be a lot of different types of questions. First, want to just talk about Zay, because it's a special day for him, and it is the draft, and we're very excited. This was a player that I've seen a lot. I'm partial to Massachusetts. I've always liked his game, and we spent a lot of time watching him. We do a project at the end of the process, the draft process, where we assign usually between 7 to 10 players to all the scouts. And they have a chance to grade all of those players, whether they're in their area, outside their area, whatever it is, and then rank. And Zay was by far the #1 prospect of those 8 players that we assigned last week. We brought him into Baltimore, we interviewed him, and we also interviewed him at the Combine. And he's really passed every single test. He's just an explosive, competitive, tough guy who can play outside, he can play inside. So we're very happy for him. And for the Ravens, we think he fits what we're going to do with Todd and just with the personnel that we have very well. And it was a great day.
Can we ask about one more?
That's a good one.
I've been saving it for like 5 hours. Eric, what was do you feel, was there a turning point in the negotiation? What happened where all of a sudden the deal came together?
You know, I think it's just one of those things, like sometimes you just need time. These things develop, and, you know, as I said, I think I've said it a few times, sometimes these things can happen in 2 weeks, and sometimes it takes 2 years, and this was on that scale. But, you know, I know that our appreciation and love for Lamar has really never wavered, but it was business as well. And, you know, I said today, and I feel that way. Sometimes with family, things can get tough, right? And we all feel that sometimes. When you're in a fight with your parents or a sibling, or you're trying to figure something out, and it's like the emotion of it. And there was definitely some emotion. But in the end, we've been blessed to have Lamar as part of this organization for a long time. We've won a lot of football games. I think he feels this place is special too. And, you know, it was business, it wasn't personal. And I think over time, that's kind of what developed.
Personally, do you feel like a huge weight is lifted off of you with how long this has been going on and how much we've been talking about it?
Yeah, I have to say yes. I do. It's been a challenge in a lot of ways. But I will say this, we have a lot of awesome people that work with me, and get to spend time with them. And they've been, you know, I've gotten pep talks at different times. They make me laugh. I'm very appreciative. I've been here my whole career. And so I really have an appreciation for the culture of this place and what it means to me. And I guess that's one of the reasons why I think I tend to put a lot of pressure on myself in situations like this, because I've been here forever. And it means more to me than, this organization means more to me than just a job. And so the weight of that, it means a lot. So I do feel that way. I think I'll have more appreciation for it probably on Sunday, how I feel. I know my family will probably sense it. These guys will sense it. I'll get back to more practical jokes, which I haven't been able to do quite as much over the last year. I've done some, but not as many. We'll get back to that. And just
We're all
more,
excited about that.
yeah. I think more of a normal kind of, you know, NFL career awaits.
Eric, you talked last week about, at the pre-draft presser, about the goal to acquire more picks. Was there an opportunity to move back from where you were? Did the phone not ring, or did you consider it at the time?
Yeah, we did actually get some calls. And, you know, one of the things I think that when you're the director of scouting or whatever, you know, you've always got to kind of look at the board and assess who might be there. I mean, it's great to trade back. We love picks. But the picks have to be good picks. And Zay was a player that we had highly rated. We thought he was an excellent fit for what we do. And as we look back into, the later part of the round and then the early part of the second round, we kind of see who's available. We felt like there might be a run on receivers, which there was. And as we look at other positions, we just felt like for us, passing up on Zay to get a couple extra picks was probably not the smartest thing to do.
During the Lamar situation, you remained, you kept saying you were optimistic that something would eventually get done. Was there ever a point, though, where you wondered, I don't know anymore, with Lamar publicly asking for the trade and everything that has gone on throughout the last 2 years?
You have your moments, of course, I think you always kind of question, what you're doing. I'm my toughest critic, so I've had a lot of self-reflection and looking at ways maybe we could have done something differently to speed this process up to make everybody happy, But I just think that it happened in the normal course, that it was meant to happen the way it did. For whatever reason, I've never been in this position before. I don't think these guys have. It was a very unusual, unique negotiation. And, so it just took time. And hopefully, honestly, I have to say, I hope I never have to be a part of that type of negotiation again because of the time, because of the emotional aspect, because Lamar's such a special player and what that means to our club and to the city. We feel that, certainly. I think we're all very, very happy. We really haven't had a lot of opportunity to kind of sit back, quite honestly. Because the deal was announced, and then 2 hours later, we were in the draft room, and we're getting ready to make a very important pick. So I think we'll have more time for reflection in the coming days.
John, similar question for you. Were there ever times along the way where you sort of wondered if you would get to this day with Lamar? And we know you're always fired up on this day as you kind of look ahead to the team. Are you maybe even more so this year, given the pick and the sign?
Yeah, I'm always fired up, and very much, probably more fired up now than ever. I don't know if it's because it's now or because of the circumstances, but along the way, kind of echo what Eric said. I thought Eric did just a tremendous job through the whole process. Decisions he made, choices he made, risks he took or didn't take or whatever, just really well thought out. He communicated with all of us really well through the whole process. I thought he did a great job communicating with Lamar through the whole process too. So in that sense, I think we just had confidence that we were, on the right road, and strategically we were doing what we needed to do and trying to do the right thing just by the people involved, especially by Lamar and for the team. So that's what I felt good about the whole way. I just felt like we were doing things the right way, and treating Lamar the right way, and that it would work out one way or another. I didn't know if it was going to work out with Lamar being there for sure. You just never know. You can't know that. But I believed it would, and to see it happen the way it did today, to hear how excited Lamar was on the phone about it, when we talked about it, that was really a great moment. I know I felt that way. I know you felt that way, Eric, when you talked to him. That just kind of made it all come together. Plus our players are fired up too, so.
I was just going to ask Todd Monken. He took a bit of a leap of faith, not knowing for sure Lamar would be back. What was this day like for him with Lamar being signed and then adding Zay Flowers to the mix?
Yeah, Todd Monken had a good day today. He's pretty happy. Seemed pretty happy. He better be happy. We've really upgraded our offense. We've been. It's not just today. We've kind of been at it. You look at Nelson. That's not kind of an underrated signing. Of course, everybody knows about Odell. And then all the things leading up to that, I'm Rashad Bateman. I just saw him this weekend here training and working out. He's in a great place. Guys like Isaiah Likely, of course, Mark, our offensive line.
Devin looks great.
Yeah, Devin looks great. He's healthy and rolling. And James Prochet's in here working hard. Tylan Wallace is doing a great job. So really across the board, we're gonna be okay.
Eric, when you guys signed Beckham, it certainly seemed like Lamar was very excited about that. Did you notice any kind of change in the tenor of negotiations after that?
We didn't spend a lot of time communicating for a little period there. But we're getting ready for the draft, and Lamar was doing his own thing. But again, I think that, sometimes people will try and interpret things messages and such. And it's hard to do unless you're actually talking to the person and communicating. And so, I feel like Lamar was probably challenged like we were over this period, but I think his love for this club, I think, was unwavering as well. I don't want to speak for him; he can speak for himself. But I think he genuinely loves this place, and we love him. So, we're trying to build, and we talked about it. Our goal this offseason, one of the things that I was focused on, is adding to the receiver room. Right? We talked about it. Talked about the same last year with the offensive line, and when somebody gives us a challenge, we're going to attack it. When we feel like we need to do better, we will attack it in different ways. I think we've proven that. So that was something that I thought about this fall, watching us play. That was something that I thought about in January, right after the season, and that was a mission. And so Odell, talented player, he's a big part of that. Nelson, big part of that. Zay, other guys coming back healthy, Bate coming back healthy, Devin coming back healthy, other young guys. We feel like we're on our way. But it's not just those guys, it's our tight ends. We love our tight ends. They're a big part of it. Our running backs, they're going to be healthy this year, like fully healthy. JK, Gus, Justice. We feel like we have a lot of good pieces to be a very strong offense, and Lamar's a huge part of that, of course.
Joe, what did you
Eric,
like
how
about
much do you think Jalen Hurts' deal impacted Lamar's deal?
I couldn't really say. I think what we try to do is come up with a deal that we think is good and fair for the player, that hopefully the player looks at and resonates with the player as well. And it's been ongoing, I think we've, over the last couple of years, we've given Lamar probably 6 different maybe proposals in different ways. And when you negotiate, a lot of times you just kind of edge forward towards progress. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow. But you're just trying to make progress every single time to find that sweet spot. Of course, you look at every single deal that gets done, right? Quarterback deals, that's how you kind of build out the parameters for what you think is fair, the market. The market is what the market is. John says it all the time, that's the market. But, I think that the way that we feel about Lamar, it's the market plus, if that makes sense. Like, we've seen Lamar. We've won lots of games with Lamar. We're around him all the time. And we do feel that he's the best quarterback in the NFL, and I think this contract reflects that.
Eric, going back to Zay, he talked about having watched Steve Smith Sr. since he was a young kid and having heard some of the comparisons there. Do you see a little bit of that, that sort of infectious self-belief?
Yeah, I do. As a matter of fact. And, I had the fortune to spend some time with Steve at the Combine. A lot of respect for Steve. One of the great competitors that we've ever had here, I think. And fantastic guy. I consider him a good friend. We talk about receivers. He's got strong opinions. And he loves Zay, too, so it's mutual. And if Steve Smith, I will say this, if Steve Smith has that much respect for a receiver, you better pay attention. It's like when Ozzie loves a tight end, you better pay attention, right? Same deal. So that resonates with me. If Steve says, that's my guy, then I'm kind of like, okay, I better pay attention. And so Zay happened to be a guy that I liked as well, so it's like a perfect DNA match when you got a Hall of Fame someday receiver like Steve Smith telling you that he loves you, loves him, and I like him, and Joe likes him, and John likes him, and Todd likes him. It's like, okay, this might be the guy.
Joe, when did kind of Zay Flowers come across your radar? Was there any, I don't know about anecdote or just a story you remember about when the first times you started kind of studying him, breaking down his film?
Yeah, actually, our scouts went in there last year in the 2021 season. They wrote him, liked him then. Obviously, elected to stay in school for this past season, and obviously our scouts went back in. He put on a great display this past year. So we had strong grades coming out of the fall. He showed up at the East-West and really, truly stood out in the receiver group there. It was him and everyone else. Really just explosive. Just one day of practice, and you just saw the difference in the combine performance. But when you watch his film, you just saw such an explosive player on tape who can play inside and out. great acceleration, playmaker with the ball in his hands, makes big plays, contested plays downfield. So just everyone who watched this film just saw exciting things, and chance to add him was awesome.
Eric, before that 2019 season with Lamar, you guys picked a lot of speedy players, I think, in that 2019 draft. You talked about building a track team for that offense. I guess just big picture, kind of the impact of speed, guys like Devin, Dave, now Zay. How do you kind of want that speed to play into the kind of offense that you're envisioning for this next season?
Yeah, that's probably more of a Todd question, but Jonas, I would just say we look for good players, and just watching Zay, like, he's just got a competitive energy about him. He's a playmaker, and I just appreciate that. And the fact that he's kind of a versatile player. Like, receivers sometimes have a specific fit, maybe, but with Zay, we see a guy that can do multiple things, which is exciting. He's a special teams guy as well. The other thing I would say about Zay, we evaluate players, but we also interview players. We talk to players. We do a lot of background, like you guys do when you guys write stories a lot of times, most of you guys. Sorry. But we talk, we do a lot of research on these guys, and we spend a lot of time interviewing these players. And Zay was a player that I have to say I haven't come across many more impressive, just face-to-face prospects that I've ever interviewed at the Combine and then here in Baltimore. His story, his resiliency, his ability to just succeed and handle things was really, really impressive. And so it's kind of all those things. It's the ability, right, and how he fits, what he's going to do in the field, but it's also his drivers, his mentality, his grit, his growth mindset, all those types of things.
Two-part question. Piggybacking off of that, did you feel like him staying at Boston College really showed something about Zay? And then it also seemed like Lamar really liked the pick. Other players, Marlon really liked the pick. Did you get a sense that even players on the team really liked Zay? OBJ tweeted about it.
Yeah, we had some feedback. We knew there were some guys that knew Zay or had been around Zay a little bit, which is always great. What I will say, I thought it was cool, like, talking to Zay, like, one of his motivations for coming back was to get his degree. I believe, and you guys can talk to him, but I believe he's one of, 13 or 14 brothers and sisters. I think he's the first one to go to college, and so getting his degree is critically important to him, and that was a big part of his decision, which, I think speaks to who he is as a person.
Two questions, if I can. I know in 2019 you said you roamed the hallways, agonizing over the fact that you had no second-round pick, and you've seen those good players fly off the board. One, do you see any opportunity to trade up into the second round? And number two, do you have any update on the Patrick Queen option?
Yeah, so the first part of that question was, if we don't have a second-round pick, do I hate that? Yes, but our second-round pick is Roquan, and I got to say, I don't think you could get a better second-round pick. And so I'm thrilled that we don't have a second-round pick. So, and I look at that and I say, man, we really lucked out. We got him, we wanted him, and we got him signed. And, Roquan's a force multiplier. He lifts everybody else up, so that's awesome. As far as Patrick goes, not going to address that right now, probably will. Maybe later this week, as the draft ends, we'll talk about that, but I'm not going to talk about that right now.
Question maybe for Joe. The cornerback class, as we head into day 2 of the draft, do you guys like the depth of this class as you head in?
Yeah, corners, yeah, absolutely. There's, like we said in the pre-draft press conference, there's players at every level of the draft for us, and there's still plenty of targets available for us, so we'll be watching them in the second round and as they come off, and if there's someone there in the third that matches us, he'll be there.
Just 2 more guys. John, I know obviously you don't know what the offense will look like next year as you're kind of going through everything, putting together the team, but just from watching what Georgia did last year, they did, put the ball in their playmakers' hands, do a lot of screens, a lot of RPOs and stuff. With Zay's ability, did you kind of see him adding that dimension to this offense?
Absolutely. I think one of the things about him is he's good on all 3 levels. He goes deep. You saw the highlights probably when you watched him get drafted. He runs the intermediate routes, the deep ends and things like that especially. And then the run after the catch is really special. It is kind of Steve Smith-like in that sense. I mean, he can catch it and take 2 or 3 steps and really accelerate away from a tackle, which is the one thing I thought jumped out on the tape for me. He's a strong runner too. So, yeah, he's going to be part of that. And we've got kind of a versatile receiving group. We've got a lot of guys. I know Greg Lewis, when we were having our meetings, and he really liked Zay as well. And his thing was, let's take the best player, the most versatile guys, and then move them around in different spots and use them all, And I thought that was something that kind of resonated with all of us.
Eric, after this, go ahead.
A lot has been made about fully guaranteed deals since Deshaun Watson got his. Looking back on it, do you feel like Watson's contract made those negotiations a little tough?
There's probably a lot of different reasons why any negotiation can go in a different way. I think the most important thing is being patient, communicating and refusing to give up, on anything, to keep trying to find a solution. What are the challenges? What does the other side want? What is the other side saying? What do you want? What are you saying? What's most important to you? What are you willing to move on? What are they willing to move on? There's a lot of different challenges with these types of negotiations, especially with great players. Happens with every team in every sport. You see it all the time. So it's not one thing. It's not guaranteed money. It's not this. It's not that. It's just tough, sometimes. It's just a part of sport. And we're fortunate. We got it done. I know a lot of people doubted us, but we never really doubted ourselves. And here we are. We're excited about that.
Thanks, guys.
I was going to say, Eric, after this long process that you admitted was challenging, was there kind of a poignant moment when you told, John or Joe, guys next year, or when you talked to Lamar, when you finally agreed on this number? I know you have the draft coming up, but you had to at least take a moment, right, to celebrate this?
Well, yeah, there's a few funny stories, but the one story I will tell you is I was at home. It was about 10:30 at night the other night, and the Celtics were up by I'm a Celtics fan. They were up by 15 or 16 points, and it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And I'm like, what is going on? They're choking. These guys are literally choking. And just as Trae Young hit that bomb, I got a text from Lamar that said, basically, I think we can get a deal done. We're getting close. And I said back to him, Lamar, you just saved my night. Because I was in a dark place. And at that point, I didn't care anymore about the Celtics. So that would be one thing. But just, try to keep these things. This is an unusual negotiation because no agent is involved. And so when it's 2 people, you can kind of keep a secret more so than in most cases. But, as we make progress or not, I get these guys involved, and they get excited, but they don't want to pester me because they know I'm so stressed out about the draft and everything. And John will come in every night, usually before he goes home, and he's like, his standard line is, any updates? He just got, any updates? And a lot of times I say, no updates, coach, no updates. And Joe came down today, and I had George and Joe, and I said, guys, come on down for a second. And Joe came in, and I said, we got a quarterback, and he just started flipping out, So I think we're all very excited that we got Lamar back, and I think it's great for our fans. I really do, and it's great for Baltimore. It's great for the city. It's great for the NFL, in my opinion. And I think we're ready to go.